Now, getting into the rear trunk of the QX60 are a variety of ways. We can use our key fob here. We can also kick to open it as well, and there's a button. So let's just hold down our key fob to open up this power tailgate. Pretty quick in its operation as well, really like that. And you can see our rear trunk space here. And check this out, on this autograph trim, these are actually illuminated rear sills, and I think they're metal as well. Really cool touch here. I have not really seen that on any vehicle, and it kind of follows that digital kind of piano key style that Infiniti is going with. I really like that continuation of design here. One weird thing to note, I'm just going to point this out, is that this light is like the only light in the interior that is not LED. It looks like an older kind of incandescent style. That looks a little bit cheap to me. I wish they kind of thought about that, but the rest of the space in here is actually really quite impressive. This carpet in here is very thick. It feels very lush. Even the opening of this little underfloor storage tray here feels very soft. This is a thick foam pad here, and it stays open for you. You can see here we have some more storage under here, and this space actually is for that center console bit right here. You can see that here this has captain's chairs here with that center console. That center console is removable and fits right back here if you want some more interior space. So that's a really cool touch they put in here, and I like how this stays open at almost any different angle, and it's very smooth operation to it. Now you can also see back here we have our third row that is folded down, and while it is folded down, we can get a quick look at our cup holders that we get on both sides of that third row seating area, as well as charging ports on both each side, which is really nice. Now, a weird thing to note back here is that you can actually use these buttons here to move up the third row seats. So I press the buttons and the third row seats are automatically coming up. They actually come up really quickly, which I do like. But to fold the seats down, you actually have to pull this lever to fold them down. You can't use those side buttons to fold the seats down. So that's one interesting thing I did note on the back of the QX60. It also looks like you have these manual pulls to kind of pull the seats up if you wanted to as well. So you have a few different ways to kind of operate this third row, which is pretty interesting. But nonetheless, you can see the cargo space difference when you have the third row up and down. And I actually quite like how much space you even have with the third row up. So, and you also have this underfloor storage area here as well. And I almost forgot to mention, you do actually have a spare tire underneath the vehicle as well. So even with a third row, you have all the additional cargo space, you still have a spare tire, which is a nice addition here. So kudos to Infiniti for including that. You can see here, the seats are up. I cannot use those buttons to kind of move them down. So that's one interesting thing to note. And of course, you have a full power tailgate as well. You can push that button and it should just shut up for us nice and easy. Okay guys, we're gonna go take a tour of the rear seats of the QX60 now, and we can check out how to get into this third row as well. So as you can see here, like I mentioned earlier, all four doors do have keyless access to them, which is a nice luxury feature. And I do actually really like this door panels in here. We have this nice premium leather material up here. You can see our open pore wood with more leather all the way on the nice touch points of the door panel. It's very soft and nice feeling as well. We have a manual rear sunshade, which is really nice, and you can also see some decent amount of storage for a water bottle down here, as well as some of your speakers for your Bose Performance Series audio system and an automatic window control here. Let's see how far this door opens. I wouldn't say a complete 90-degree angle, but it's definitely a nice wide opening to get in. And you can kind of see these little steps in here to get into the third row, which is a nice touch. Illuminated Infiniti side sill plate, which I believe is metal as well. And now let's try to get into this third row and see if I can fit back here. So how do you do this? Well, thankfully all the buttons are right here for you. So you literally just press this button. The seat kind of does this little ejection motion here. You kind of push it up a little bit even more to kind of get some more room to get into that third row. And now we can hop inside. So let's use these steps to hop inside the third row. Getting inside is a little snug, I won't lie, and now we're back here. So before I put the seat back and I'm squished, let's take a little bit of a tour. So we have these side windows here, which are nice to kind of get a nice little visibility out of here. Thankfully, you do have rear air vents for the third row passengers, which is a nice touch. Some speakers back here, and we also have those two cup holders that we saw before, as well as a USB-A charging outlet, no USB-C. So it's a little bit of a snug space, though, I will not lie. You can kind of see that this second row seat is moved back just a little bit, and you can kind of see how much legroom that side of the third row passenger has. Back here, you also have this little storage tray, which looks like it has a little bit of a mat on here. And normally these headrests will be down, which is why they're down right now. Let's see if I can fit, oh boy, behind this seat. Now I'm 6 feet tall for reference, And I honestly, I don't really like being back here, I won't lie. Thankfully, there are these escape buttons back here if I want to kind of get out in a hurry. The seat kind of does that ejection motion and it kind of pops itself back. Now, the good thing is that these seats are movable, so I can kind of put them at any place and then just lock them down. So as you can see here, with this seat moved up, I definitely have a little bit more leg room, but my foot space is really limited because there's kind of just a little bit of a tiny space in between these sidebars where you can put your feet in. So it's not the biggest third row on the planet at all. It's a little bit narrow back here, as this vehicle is a little bit narrower than its Pathfinder sibling, for example. So third row space is definitely not class leading, but it is usable if you do need to put some kids back there in a hurry. Getting out of the QX60 is needed. It's a little bit tight back there, but it's also pretty easy with this kind of wide opening space. And putting the seat back really is not difficult at all. You kind of just slide it back and it locks right into place there for you, which is nice. Now you can see that these seats are a little bit further forward and you can kind of get that little bit of a sense of the leg room there with it moved up just a little bit. But once you move these seats up, then you kind of impede the second row's leg room here. So you can see hopping in, now my leg room's a little bit tight here on the second row, but thankfully I do have a lot more foot space than the third row, and I have the ability to move the seat back with manual adjustment if there is no one in the third row, which is nice. And now I have a lot more leg room. This is fully far back. I do have a reclining feature where I can kind of lean back with this recline here. You can see how far back this seat does recline, and it shoots itself right back up if you do need it to, which is nice. The backs of these seats are really nice as well. They are wrapped in that nice brown leather that this autograph model has, and it kind of continues down here with this kind of thicker material here, which is nice. It feels very rubberized. It feels actually quite durable, and I do like these storage cubbies on the backs of each of the seats here, which is a nice touch. Closing the door, let's see how nice solid thunk we actually have from there, which is quite nice. You can also see in this center console area here, you have individual armrests for these two second row captain chairs, which is a nice touch. And this center console piece here. So you have two cup holders here and a little bit of storage. And like I said, it is removable, which is not actually that difficult to do. And then in the center console here, we have our own climate system back here, which is a nice feature, as well as USB-C, USB-A port, as well as a 120 volt outlet, household style outlet back here, which is a really nice feature. And thankfully it is very roomy and spacious back here thanks to this standard panoramic glass roof, which really does help to open up the cabin. And if I'm gonna say, I have about this much headroom here, so a little bit, maybe an inch just around. Again, I'm 6 feet tall, and I do like how these seats back here carry over the same premium semi-aniline leather that the front seats are getting with the autograph logo kind of embossed into the leather here. I'm not super impressed with the leather quality. You can kind of see the piping is a little bit wrinkling here. The leather itself is wrinkling, and on the front seats, the kind of bottoms are kind of wrinkling as well. But you know, that's going to happen with other seats over time, though. This is a brand new vehicle, so that may be one thing to keep in mind when choosing this autograph trim. I do like how the floor is completely flat back here, which is really nice, as it still does have an all-wheel drive system, so I'm not sure how they were able to achieve that. Really good feature for kind of sliding things or people across the entire interior of the vehicle. What I don't like is this hump back here. You can kind of see across the whole thing where the seats are mounted on. It kind of doesn't give you a lot of rear foot space, which isn't something I really feel like I need to talk about. But we're usually just talking about foot space like this. But if you're someone who likes to keep your feet closer to the seat, you kind of have this thing you have to like put a platform onto. So that's one thing to keep in mind back here. But let's see how easy it is to get this thing out of here, because you'd be surprised. Okay guys, I'm gonna try to demonstrate for you how easy it is to get this little center console thing out of the QX60. So all you have to do is there's a little cover right here. You just pull it off with some force. It comes off like this. Don't worry, it's supposed to come off. And there's just one lever right here, and that's it. It weighs like, I don't know, 10, 15 pounds. It's really not heavy at all. Very light, and it feels very sturdy. And then you can go put it right in the rear trunk. So let's go do that now. Okay guys, we have our center console here. We can just kick open the trunk pretty easily like that while you're still holding it. You never really have to use your hands. And thankfully it's so light, you really could use it with one hand or just hold it. Open up your little storage tray here. It stays in place. You pop in your little center console here, close it up, lower folds flat. And then I could just honestly just kick it again. It should close. And now you have more room in that center row. So let's go check that out now. So guys, now with that center console out, you can kind of see how much more space is now opened up in the middle of the QX60. So if I'm sitting back here, I have a little bit more room here where passengers could climb in and out of that rear seat. A little bit easier though. You do still have these center armrests here to kind of impede a little bit on that space, but it is a little bit of a better pass-through to get in and out of there instead of having to fold the seats completely down. Maybe you have a car seat or something here that you don't want to be able to, or you're not able to fold these seats down all the time. You can kind of get this a little bit of a better area of space in here, which is quite nice. I guess we could put this little cover back there as well, but it's super easy to take out, and I really appreciate Infiniti allowing you to do that and making a space in the trunk where it fits so perfectly. Okay, getting inside the QX60 is pretty easy. Like I said, we have our key fob here before. Similar style key fob from older Infinitis, though it has been like slightly reshaped just a little bit for the QX60. We do have remote start here, so if I lock it, press it twice, it does start up for you guys really nicely. And now hopping inside the QX60 is pretty simple. Just use our keyless access here. Doors will unlock as you hear there, and we can go inside. Like we saw on the rear end, we have these really nice door panels here, leather all around it. We have that open pore wood, memory seats on this one. We have our Bose Performance Series audio system speakers. Again, lots of controls here, and we have massaging front driver and passenger seats, which is a really nice touch, and an even bigger area here for some water bottles and storage. Illuminated aluminum side sill plates, which is a nice touch. Really big, wide formats with the QX60 and an Infiniti logo here. We also have some storage under here for this nice pass-through. And let's hop inside and check out these really cool semi-aniline leather seats that we get and the autograph trim that are unique to this specific trim, with the white piping around it, the cool diamond style stitching. Closing the door, nice solid thunk. Our start-stop button's actually in the center console here. And we have the QX60 come to life. Okay guys, so what do we have going on in this new Infiniti QX60? Off the bat here, I do have to say this is a really nice looking interior. The design in here is very swoopy. You have a lot of nice materials in this autograph trim, and you actually can get a lot of the stuff in the sensory trim, which is really a lot cheaper than this particular one. And the other Infiniti QX60 trims are also cheaper and also get a lot of nice features. But this one is the only one where you can get these exclusive seats on this one, which is really nice. Now there's leather actually everywhere here, but I want to talk about this really nice brown or kind of dark brown or dark black open pore wood trim that spans the entire dashboard and onto the front door panels. That nice stitching and quilted leather up on the dash as well feels very premium. They did a really good job on the general design of this interior. We have a leather wrapped steering wheel is here. This whole center console also appears to be wrapped in that same either soft touch material or leather. It feels fantastic. This is padded. Even the center console here is stitched with leather. But in here, we do have a lot of modern tech. Infiniti has caught up, I would say, to a lot of competition. There's nothing in here that I'm going to say that's class-leading like whatsoever, or either outstanding. There's some things that are a little bit outdated, but we do finally have all the technology you would expect in a modern vehicle. Up here, we have a massive 10-plus inch heads-up display here. It's only displaying the speed right now, but when you have your driver assist functions on, it kind of takes over the whole display, as well as route guidance, I believe. We have a digital cluster here that can actually change the views by pressing this little change meter button. The graphics are not the best, and I would call them like 2015, 2016 Volvo with their Sensus system kind of style, but it looks fine. I think it's nice that we have a digital dash, and there's a lot of different menus and screens you can go through to kind of customize them. The only way you can actually get the map on there is if you have a destination set. So I set a destination on the map here. We'll just put in, let's say Dunkin' Donuts, for example, and I put in Dunkin' Donuts as a new destination. I'm going to say start route. And then I believe I can have the map put up into this center display here. Let's see. And it does come up here. It's in the night mode right now. So that's the only way you can actually get a map up here. Otherwise, you can use Apple CarPlay, which is wireless, though Android Auto is actually a wired function, which is really interesting. And you can cancel your route right there. So that's an interesting touch here. And then we get to this infotainment display here. So as you saw in the map screen here, it is huge, right? But you can only use the rest of the entire infotainment system with it like this. So this is your infotainment system. You cannot get rid of this little side screen here. And even in Apple CarPlay, you cannot get rid of the side screen. So Apple CarPlay is only that half of the screen, which is really annoying. Apologies, as I'm filming with my phone right now, so I can't demonstrate that. But I honestly find that a little bit annoying. Thankfully, the infotainment system is very quick now, as you can see. And you also have a physical control style knob here. You can kind of cycle through everything. A majority of the stuff on here is Sirius XM based, or I guess GPS based things. And you do have audio information displays. And you can actually customize this display here if you go to settings, customize menus, and customize split screen. You can have it to be any of these different things right here. You can even have Apple Maps show turn by turn here, not the map, but just the turn by turn directions, which is nice. And you can have other things running. So I guess it could be useful, but I wish you had the ability to just use this entire display, because as you saw with the maps here, it's just gorgeous when it's fully being used. So I hope there's a software update or something that Infiniti allows you to do that. But right now, you can only use kind of this half of the display unless you're using their inbuilt navigation system. And you do have a drive mode selector that you can see will pop up here. Eco, Auto, Sport, Personal, and you do have a snow mode as well. And unfortunately, it doesn't change any of the gauges, but at least you do have these drive mode options here, which is nice. I do like the snow mode feature as well. Quick access for your auto stop start, auto brake hold, electronic parking brake. Nice stuff here. We have a really big wireless charging mat that unfortunately doesn't really charge my phone very much, and it gets very hot here. But we do have a USB-C and A port hidden back there, and two big cup holders right there, which is really nice. And I really like this kind of display, or the design of the dashboard kind of curves around, giving like the passenger their own kind of cockpit style as well as the driver, but also making all these controls accessible to both front passenger and driver. Another one of my favorite touches has to be this separated, thankfully, Infiniti climate control system here. So as we can see, this is actually a haptic touch panel. So if you kind of listen closely when I press my heated seat button, you kind of get that kind of little haptic touch sound here. It's kind of loud actually, and you can see how the lights will illuminate. You do have, like I said, your climate controls are all here. There's no screen in there for your climate. It's all on this page here, so you can turn them all on by pressing this button here. You have a physical control dial here for your temperature gauge right there, which is nice. And you can control your rear climate here with this center button. You can control it like this. You can turn it on or off, and you can lock it as well. It's a little bit cluttered when all of the lights are on, but it is kind of really simple and easy to use, and you don't have to be digging through menus in the infotainment screen to kind of access your climate stuff. My only real complaint is I don't like how the volume knob is actually here. Yes, I do like there's a volume knob, but I wish it was like closer to this little thing here, because sometimes I found it weird trying to like use this to kind of control the display and then having to kind of jump back and forth between these two. It's a weird little ergonomic action I've noticed. Otherwise, it's nice that we actually have a physical volume knob, so thank you Infiniti for doing that. And honestly, I have to say the build quality in here is honestly really good. Everything's very, very solid. No creaks, no rattles. I would say just some of these plastics don't feel $70,000 worth. They're definitely lifted off of Nissan products, and a lot of this stuff is Nissan products based. So there is that to kind of keep in mind, but generally I have to say it's a pretty well built and nicely designed interior. So I have to give Infiniti props. And one thing to point out here before we go and take this thing on a drive is the digital rear camera option, or digital rear view mirror option you can see right here that has our home link integrated into it. This is useful if you have kind of kids in the third row or a lot of stuff in the rear trunk you can't really see out. I don't personally use this all the time. I just use the regular mirror because the visibility back here really is not bad. But if you do need it, you do have it, and it is an option there. And it's pretty clear, but what isn't clear is the backup cameras or any of the 360-degree view cameras. Pretty low resolution. They're kind of grainy, honestly, and I wish they kind of improved this. This looks like an older style system. I appreciate that there is a 360-degree surround view monitor, but it's just the camera quality is just not up to par with competitors, I would have to say. Other than that, it does have a lot of motion detection, it does have trajectory, and there are parking sensors as well on the Q50, so it will keep you safe. Just visually, I wish it was a little bit more appealing.